Okay, boys and girls, I told you that we were going to work on a fraction divided by a whole number today and see if we could see any patterns or if it makes sense. So, let's look at this. I have 1/3 divided by 2. So the first question I want to ask myself is my quotient, if I estimate, is my quotient going to be greater than 1/3 or less than 1/3? Talk to your partner about that and then come back and see. Well, I gave it some thought and I thought, well, if I have only 1/3 and I'm going to divide that third into a half, my number is, or by 2, I'm not going to get a larger number, I'm going to get a smaller number because my 1/3 is going to get smaller and smaller because I'm sharing it. So there's one way of thinking about it. Remember, we can always think about multiplication because that's the opposite. So I could ask myself, what times 2 equals 1/3? And because we've done so much work with equivalents, you might be able to come up with that. Well, I'm going to pretend like I have a pan of brownies. And with that pan of brownies, I get home from school and guess what? There is only 1/3 of the brownies left over. Somebody ate all the rest. So this is all that's left in the pan is 1 out of 3 equal parts. And I promised my friend that I had these great brownies at home to come on over and we would share them. Well, guess what? I have to cut them in half into 2 equal parts. Now, if you look at it, I'm only thinking about this, but everything comes as a whole to start with. So we have to pretend like these are still there when I'm cutting, because what I do to one part, I have to do to the rest of it, even though there's nothing there. It's just a fraction rule. Well, this is my part. This is my friend's part. How much did we each get? Well, I got 1 part out of, how many parts would have there been? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 part out of 6, so 1/3 divided by 2 equals 1/6, or 1/6 times 2 equals 1/3. Well, that makes sense to me because I remember when I was doing my equivalent fractions, 2/6 equals 1/3. Let's try another one. What happens if I have 1/4 divided by 3? All right, so I can once again, I know my number is going to be smaller than 1/4. If I look at this, what times 2 equals, don't look at that. It would be, what times 3 equals 1/4? Well, I've got this piece of bread and there is only, it's one whole piece, but I'm dividing it equally. So how much of that bread is left? Well, I know there's only 1/4 of it left. But I have, and it's kind of old, so I don't want to eat it. There's only 1/4 left. But I have 2 dogs and 1 cat. So I got to divide that into 3 equal parts for the 2 dogs and 1 cat. So what am I going to do? I'm going to divide it, but remember I have to pretend like I have a whole piece there because fractions are based on. So the dog got this chunk, the other dog got this chunk, and the cat got this chunk. How much did each animal get? Well, my dog got 1 out of how many equal parts? Well, I have to look. I can't just count this. I have to count as if it was all there. 1, 2, 3, 4 times 1, 2, 3. Ooh, 1, 12. Oh. So each animal got 1/12 of the bread. not of the piece, but of the whole bread. So let's look at this. How much popcorn would each person get if 3 people shared a half a bag of popcorn equally? Well, remember, I have to think about it is I had a whole bag, and I sat down and ate half of it, and then my friends came, and I only had a half a bag left. So I said, hey, no problem, I'll share my bag with you, but I only have a half left. But I'll divide it equally into how many equal parts. So we have 1/2 of a bag, and I'm dividing it by how many people? 3. My friend 1, friend 2, and me. Even though I ate the first half, I still want my fair share once they get there. So if I look at this, what do I know? I have to think about it as a whole bag. So how much did each person get? Well, I only got 1 out of how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, if I think about this, 1/6 times 3 equals 1/2. Your biggest struggle is to remember that you have to think about it as a whole, even though it says there's only half a bag. That's why I always at first have to draw a picture until it starts making sense to me. So what I want you to do is I want you to work on this chart first together as a team, and I just want you to put down what your equation would be. So this first one is 3/4 divided by, this is the number of trips they took. So the round trip distance was 3/4 of a mile, and they did it in 3 round trips. So what do we get for the total distance? All right, but here's my question. Okay, let's go back. Once again, I went fast and I ended up going slow. Now I'm going to go slow to go fast. I have 8 students ride their bikes to the park during spring break. I better read the whole problem before I jump into it. The table shows the round trip's distance and the number of trips to the park each student made. Complete the table to show how many miles each student rode in all. Well, if I go back to the chart, I better erase and start over, because here's what happened. I went 3/4 the first day, and I went that equal amount for 3 trips. Ooh, if I'm doing the equal amount, am I dividing it or am I multiplying it? I am multiplying. So this is more of a review. So if I have 3, and I just think about it, what's a 3? Well, it's really 3/1, and I just divide it straight across. I'm going to get 9/4, and I know that's an improper fraction, so I've got to make it a proper fraction. And so I know 4 divided by 9 is 2. I'll do that right here. 4 divided by 9, and I get 2. And what do I have left over? 1/4. So how far did they go? Okay, I want you to complete the chart, put your equations down and figure it out, and then come back and turn it back on and check your answers with my answers, please. Guys, look, and I was wrong. You don't have to write it down. You have the chart on page 97. So pull out 97 and let's work on this. And like I said, you work it and then see if you get the same answers as me. Okay, check your answers.
if you don't have that, or if you're having trouble, make sure you call me over. Then go back, and I would like you to do together as a team page 96, 95 and 96. Those are dividing fractions by a whole number.